Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday to you. Hope you're doing awesome. It's a great day here in Nashville, and we're just gearing up for the day like we do every single morning. And it's just going to be an awesome, awesome day. Why? Because we're going to make it that way. That's what this show is all about, is helping you guys connect and get your day kick-started. And as you can tell, what we've done is we have started a challenge. It's a 30-day challenge. And what's going on is we're just trying to focus in on improving ourselves. We've picked fitness and health, and we've got several people that, you know what, they're throwing in. They're saying, look, I've got different things. Some people, they're trying to increase in athletics. Those are them younger people. that ain't me. But we also got some other people that say, hey, look, I need some energy. I've got to get myself in motion. And it's just going to be a great thing. I've got people trying to lose weight, right? I've still got some pounds to lose myself. So it's just been a really fun thing that's been going on. And yesterday we kind of had a impromptu meeting on Clubhouse. One of my friends, Martinez Rory, hopped on, and we had a great conversation about water. Funny story. Funny story. We couldn't have planned it because yesterday started the challenge. We're talking about water. Get your water. That's the kind of the step one of this process is get water. You'll be amazed at how well you feel. Well, on our Telegram group, man, everyone's talking about like, dude, I've used the bathroom like 8 times today, 10 times. Like it's now officially the kidney flush challenge. But it's good. It's good. It's going to help you. It's a great thing to do, a great habit to have. But this morning, I've got a special guest here on my Clubhouse room. In fact, what happened is I told everyone it was so much fun talking to Martinez. I said, look, if you want to hop on here, you've got some value to add to this challenge, maybe some things that help you even celebrate some of your wins. I want you to be a part of this. And so Chelsea reached out. And so Chelsea, are you here?
I am here.
Come on, we got Chelsea rushing in the house. And she has such a heart for helping people not just live well, think well. Is that a fair statement, Chelsea?
Absolutely.
And and she's going to tell you more about what it is she does exactly. But she told me, she said, look, I've got something that's helping me. I think it's going to help other people, whether you're in the challenge or not. This is going to help you add value to your life. So Chelsea, number one, thank you for being on the stream today, and thank you for being on Clubhouse. Why don't you, most of the people on here know you, but just in case we've got people that have never met you, we do have folks that hop on my streams that they don't know me. In fact, I've had the pleasure of kind of meeting some new folks on these streams. Why don't you tell them a little bit about you, what you do, and then we'll dive into the conversation this morning.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for allowing me to hop on this morning. But so yeah, I'm Chelsea. I'm actually a drug and alcohol counselor, but I have my master's of social work here from East Tennessee State University. I
Go Buccaneers.
I yeah, go Bucks. No, so I actually have my license now. I'm working toward my clinical licensure, which is just all really exciting. A lot of mumbo jumbo that you guys don't need to know. Um, anyway, so I do a lot of individual therapy, and so when we started this challenge, I started thinking, like, how can I use what I teach my clients every day on myself to be more um, productive, to be more successful. And then this just kind of came to me, and I'm just super excited to share it this morning.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you know what's, I love this because you immediately thought, how can I help people? You know what I mean? Like I want to help somebody with what I know. And that's so important because I do believe this, like there is power in community. The church, we would call it fellowship. We would call this being in community through fellowship. And this is awesome because everyone has something of value to add to another. And this is just like, I think, and you're going to kind of talk about this a little bit. We'll dive into it, but why people don't add value. some of the things that, that keep them back from, making those conversations. So yeah, Chelsea, I want you to tell everyone what you were telling me. You said, hey, I think this is something that would be helpful, and I think this is going to be great. So go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. I sure will. So I'm going to share a little story and then I'll explain everything after. But so it kind of came to me last week. I was in the gym and I started this new thing. It's called Burn Boot Camp. They have them all over the country, but they just opened one here in Johnson City. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it. Like, this looks like something that I would enjoy. Give somebody, gives you opportunity with a trainer, helping you do what you need to do. So I was in class and I just started like feeling really bad. Like I was looking around, I was struggling with some of the exercises, and I was like, and then my brain just started rolling with, I really shouldn't be here. Like I'm the biggest person in the room. I cannot do these. And after I continued to think that, like, I noticed, like, I really was not keeping up with the pace and I wasn't, able to do things I was doing before. I started down that thought pattern. And so I realized it and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not going to do this to myself. Like, I'm here. I'm going to do what I can. And so I just started like challenging my thoughts, which were creating just unproductive patterns for me. And
Wow.
so basically, what I did is a little thing we call cognitive behavioral therapy on
Mm.
myself. And the whole idea to it
Hey
is
Rob,
just
I've not been able
challenging
to plug
your
that into
negative
TikTok
thoughts
just yet.
because
If you
the
hop on the
belief
stream on
is
Facebook
that your
or
thoughts
YouTube
create
or even
your
Twitter,
perceptions
you'll
or
hear the
your
conversation.
feelings,
Chelsea's got some
emotions,
great information
and
she's
then
sharing
that
with
in
us today.
turn creates your behaviors or your reality, whichever one you want to go with. So,
Wow.
thoughts, perception, reality, or thoughts, feelings, behaviors, whatever you want to look at it. And basically, you're just wanting to. The first step in all of it is just realizing those core beliefs.
Mm.
Like I'm not good enough, or I can't do this. It's just those negative, unproductive thoughts, that
Right.
realize we all have them, no matter how positive of a person you are, or, you know, whatever you're accomplishing, it doesn't matter. We still all have them.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Like I will tell you this: you take the most positive, optimistic, extroverted person. I promise you, they have those conversations with themselves. Like they have those thoughts. I've always heard it called limited belief, is what
Yeah.
I've kind of heard. It's like I'm limiting myself with my thoughts, because what I'm actually doing is there's an internal conversation that I'm having with me by me, and I'm literally stopping myself from being who I can be, all because of a voice. Is that same thing you're talking about?
Absolutely. It sure is. And like I think a part of it, once you realize that voice, once you realize kind of what you're thinking, how you're going along with it, it's challenging it. Like, what evidence do I have that this is true?
Oh,
You
absolutely.
Like, why can't I complete this workout? Who
Mm-hmm.
told me I can't? Why do I, just challenging yourself on that. And I think it can be liberating. I think it can be eye opening. Like, if you're feeling like you're not good enough to accomplish a task, like, well, what evidence do I have to do this? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I, if I'm in session and I feel that way, I'm like, wait a minute. I have a master's degree.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Like, what evidence do I have to show me that I can't finish this right now?
Right. Right.
You know,
Because there's a lot that's supporting you right now. The fact that you're there in that seat
exactly.
says something about you, right? You put in the work to do it. I
Yeah.
mean, why couldn't you? And by the way, real quick, just want to acknowledge we've got some folks on Facebook. We've got Nikki Linkus in the house saying good morning. We got Rob, the weatherman Davis here. Matter of fact, Rob was on TikTok and he's like, man, I can't hear nothing. I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I've got to buy an extra piece to route what we're doing to TikTok. So the TikTok folks are like, what's going on TikTok? If you find like my username, in fact, I think if you click on my profile, YouTube and Instagram and that stuff, like there should be a connection. Would love for you to hear what Chelsea is talking about, because it's all about the story, the narrative you're telling yourself that's stopping you, that's literally making you not achieve. And it's that internal conversation. And that's, you know what? And by the way, I also, I'm looking here on my phone. I see Martinez in the clubhouse right now. And I'm going to tell you something, we ought to bring him on, because I'm telling you, he's going to have some value to add to this conversation. I've never done this before. I'm brand new to Clubhouse. So let me see what happens if I can bring him to the stage, so to speak. So, all right. Okay, I just sent you an invite, Martinez. So if that works for you. Oh, I think it just worked, people.
Boom, bada bing.
Boom, we got Martinez in the house joining. See, this is what happens, guys. You hop on the stream. This is not just a narrative. This is a conversation. And Chelsea is dropping bombs right now, because how many of you all right now, you're identifying with Chelsea's story? She like she showed up and it was like, why am I here?
Yeah.
Well, I don't, it's almost like this. I don't belong here.
Right.
And you know what's something that's so powerful, I think, that you said, like, I'm just going to try to reverb what you're saying, okay? And because you are the trained professional, you help us here today, okay? Number one, I think that was powerful is, number one, you had the awareness to call it out.
Right.
Like you said, wait a minute, I'm hearing these voices. Actually, I'm hearing one voice and it sounds like me.
Right, exactly. I don't hear voices.
Don't take her license away, people. Don't take her license away. Okay.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. Clarify. So yeah. But you do hear yourself for sure talking to yourself. But dude, we do this all the time.
Yes.
Like craziness. Martinez, what you got to say to that?
Oh, I just had a question, and that help us, and that is like, you're exactly right. No matter who you are, you hear that, but it's kind of like, but it's not the first time we hear it. So, is there a methodology that, or a way we could prepare ourselves so that when we start something like a new endeavor, a new event, a new relationship, or whatever, or even a recurring, what can we say to ourselves? How do we fortify our minds so that we can punch that in the face, or speak to that Pharaoh?
That's a good question.
So that when that Pharaoh shows up again, you're like, oh, listen, it's not a question of you let me go, I'm gone. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Or, it was like, how do you, because like, as we progress in life, I would think, we are all like trying to improve. And so I'm thinking a different level, a different devil, so to speak. So, I mean, I guess we can say, hey, it's coming. That voice is coming. So can you give us some insight on how to combat that so that we can, again, fortify our minds so that we can be like, in the way I would think about it, a mental giant when it comes to stuff like that?
That's a good question. I want to hear Chelsea's answer on that.
Oh man, that's a really great question. I'm processing it as we speak. So, there's several ways that you can look at it. I'm a big firm believer in setting like mantras for yourself. Especially when you're going into something, like you said, new, or accomplishing a big goal. And that is, whether you take scripture like, I can do all things through Christ, or, things like that. Just set yourself up with positive reinforcement. But also, I think there's a tone to, you can do that all day long, but that doesn't mean you're not going to have a negative thought come through.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're in the middle of it, and sometimes things get rocky, and you know, you're like, oh my gosh, why did I do this? What happened here? I think it is looking at it and being aware of it. I think that's the first step, is just making yourself mindful of those thoughts. You know, you have
Right. Love
it
it.
here.
I love it.
Can
And
I? Oh, go ahead, Chelsea.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, because see, for me, like the preacher in me is coming out, because see, like what you're talking, like I love this because so many things that we and when I say we come to a realization, it's funny how much, like, in my opinion, the Bible has talked about this and clarified this, because, like, number one, you just said it, you're not going to stop the thoughts. That's why the Bible says take every thought captive.
Yes.
In other words, there's a thought. Hang on a second. Is this the truth or is this a lie? You know, because the devil will lie to you. And let me say this. The Bible talks about there's three things against you: the devil, the flesh, and the world, or in other words, the spirit of the world, right?
Right.
And I'm going to tell you something. I think the devil gets way more credit for the stuff that we're actually doing ourselves in the flesh.
Absolutely.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, who I used to be, you know, Pastor Denny Livingston talked about this, the law of the Spirit. We know more about being a person back then than we are present tense or even future, you know, perpetuating towards, if that makes sense. Like it goes like what you just said, Chelsea. Why am I here? Well, it's just because you've not been here yet. This is new, but that doesn't mean you don't belong.
Exactly. I mean, because the other thing is experience. You've already lived, you know that's been a true reality.
That's right. That's exactly it. And so, but it's almost like, you know, and I don't know, there's so many places we can go with this, but it's like based on, you know, and I love what you just said about affirmations and mantras. And in other words, you know, the Bible would even say this, right? Think on these things. But because I think your flesh, you know, you have to subject that. In other words, you have to be able to recondition yourself, washed with the word, right? Well, like there's an internal reality of resurrection power within me, but man, I'm in a body that don't like that.
Right.
And that affects spiritual reality, physical reality, emotional reality. Like how many times have we sabotaged, and I love what you just said, Martinez, because you brought this up. We've sabotaged a relationship because we told ourselves in our mind what that person thinks of us.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Dude, they ain't thinking about you.
Right.
They ain't even thinking, this happens sometimes, like in a church, like you know, you see people talking, you look over, you're like, they're talking about me, aren't they? No, they ain't talking about you.
I think I love that. You know, and you're exactly right. They're not talking about you, and
they're not even thinking about you.
What happens? What happens? I think when we entertain that distraction, that's all it is a distraction.
Yes.
We these limiting beliefs or what have you. What it hinders us from taking a full stride to where we're going.
Yeah.
And the other way of looking at that is like the best of us doesn't show up. The best Jason doesn't show up. The best Chelsea doesn't show up. And and if we're gonna be there, let's be all the way there. Let's get all the jitters out. There's no sense of having jitters. There's no sense of having, I can't do it. I shouldn't do it, because, kind of like, David wasn't at all thinking about that. He couldn't do it when he faced Goliath, I mean,
sure.
he was just like, okay, what do I get when I do this? What do I get when I slay this guy? Is there not a cause?
Yeah. For sure.
And like Chelsea said, he, just having experience like which he had with the lion and the bear and that kind of thing. But it's kind of like, we need to master this limiting belief we need to like be a mental juggernaut over it, so that when that giant shows up, it's not a question of, you know, if it's coming down, it's coming down. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
and
so, you know, that's where I think that's just, we're, you know, some, you know, we need to graduate from being a child when it comes to stuff like this, you know,
Right.
though it's not, you know, though I know it's a process, but the goal is to graduate so that the best of us can show up. What thoughts?
Yeah, I was thinking, you sort of triggered a thought in my mind then, and it was, so often we go into those new situations or to those things that we're about to face, and it's almost like a protective factor. We go in and we say, "Oh, I'm not going to be my best self because what if my best self might not be enough for what this is, or
mm,
what if it goes rogue? Like I need to protect myself." You know,
Right.
that's such a protective factor. And it's, I think it is just challenging that to say, hey, you know what? Like, I have no evidence to support that this is going to be true. I have no evidence to support that I am not good enough. Jason, you said walking into a room and thinking people are talking to you, like, challenge, like, do I have proof of that? Do I have,
I
what would make me think that this, you know,
I wish I had a mic right now. I mean, like when I say a mic, like a cheap mic, because I would just like drop it.
mm-hmm.
Chelsea, that is so good. You've got to challenge your disbelief.
Yeah.
I think that's and that's what I was actually wanting to ask you next is like, because you just said some things, but I wanted to, I like getting real practical, right? I'm simple, right? Keep it simple, stupid, because that's what I am.
Right.
Just kidding. I am
Not
not
at all.
stupid.
Not at all.
I do not
Not at
believe
all. I
that.
know.
But no, like the idea here is asking good questions, even if it's to yourself. Like I think that's a great question you just said. Why would I? What evidence is there that I am not qualified? And
Right.
and by the way, who's the qualifying committee?
Exactly.
Right.
Like my salvation. Like who are you to tell? Like I'm pretty sure that I am accountable to Christ.
Right. Right. I love it.
Why should I let someone else's opinion of me? They don't know me.
Right.
You know, and that's not a hateful thing. I think some people take that and they get a little snarky with that. Like, you don't know me, right? Only God can judge me, right? Like, okay, well, yes, you should be scared that only God can judge you, right? Holy God. But like for real, this idea of like, I don't have to, like here's a little thing I've heard before. You just triggered this, Chelsea. Like an insult. It's not like I don't have to accept that.
Right. Because
That's on them. It's only on me if I accept it. But I don't necessarily have to, and I'm not talking about like constructive criticism. I'm saying literally somebody vindictive, viciously, like you just said. Like let's say somebody did actually have those thoughts that you were afraid of, right? Like oh no, so
right.
who
Exactly.
are they?
Yeah.
But the question I wanted to ask, because we're close to time. What are, when I say the practical things, like you just said, like, having mantras, like, is this something that are you the type of person, do you read affirmations? Do you journal? Do you listen to that? Like, what are some practical little daily things, that you're like, to specifically combat this, right? Like there's some things that I do that I don't, I've just kind of stumbled into them, but I'd love your opinion of what are some things that, number one, you have found to be helpful, and number two, you would recommend if somebody is struggling with this today.
Okay.
They can do it today.
So this is so cheap, but I had a professor tell me one, like, because I was a little bit, and she said, this is what I do, and so I just did it, and it's morning when I'm in the bathroom, like brushing my teeth and fixing my hair, like I really look at myself in the mirror and I just quote off positive affirmations. And in the beginning, like, I couldn't think of anything. I would have to really like just write some down, and I had sticky notes on my bathroom mirror that said like, just different. You are good, like you are smart, you kind, like just things like that, and like pointing out your own strengths. You
Right.
know, like I have a job, I have good friends, I have the things that you obtain like in your life, and I would just speak those things to myself, and I still every morning. Um, sometimes, sometimes it doesn't. I do a little bit, and that of the CBT approach, and just journaling, maybe some thoughts, and just kind of challenging them on paper because it helps me to process through it.
Right. And
Uh,
you said you told me this earlier. That's CBT. What's that stand for again?
Cognitive behavioral therapy.
Cognitive behavioral therapy. And that's worked itself out as far as like you said, you're writing things, like you're confronting it on paper,
Yeah.
you're speaking things, in other words, you really are confronting practically the voice.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that. I like to I'm a I like to write things out. Like
Yeah.
I heard somebody talk about write out the question and then write out the solutions, write out the realities, like confront the truth, but also draw up the plan, right? Because that's what he talked about. He said, look, affirmations are great as long as it affirms the truth, right? And even if those things are things that when I say you're acclimating towards, you're moving towards, right? Like, there's some things like, like I used to, okay, this is crazy, but I did this for months. At the time I was at a certain weight, and I would write, I am my goal, whatever my goal weight was, right? Like I would write that every day.
That's great.
As if I had done it, because what I was doing is I was trying to affirm my identity so that way I would actually meet the person I was going to be. Does that make sense? Like, is that kind of what you like? Is that hokey, Chelsea, based on what you know?
Awesome.
Like, it's like I want to look towards. Like, I can't do anything about what I did yesterday, and
Right.
and yesterday was awesome. Ups, downs. Every day's ups and downs, right? But like, what's today going to be in light of where I'm going tomorrow? Is kind of CBT.
Cognitive behavioral therapy.
Some people heard that and they were like, "Okay, I can get with the CBD." What?
OPP.
Yeah. Man, that's awesome.
What about in the absence of writing stuff down? I kind of like, Chelsea, I wanted to get your input on this, like both of your inputs, and that is, I start thinking about just little building blocks of success that you've had in the past, or just the grace and coupled with the grace and mercy of God.
Yeah.
For example, I say, I remember. Well, I really don't remember coming out of the womb, but I remember being. Stay with me here. Stay with me. Yeah. And that is, I was raw. I couldn't speak. I didn't know words. I didn't know letters, and somehow grace and mercy, God, he grabbed my mind and allowed me to learn. He put good people around me so I could learn to speak the English language that I didn't have any knowledge of when I started this journey.
Right.
And then I'm like, okay, I remember being in the first grade and getting a passing grade to get to the second grade and third grade and so on. I remember graduating from college. I mean, so I'll say to myself, wow, I've done some things, and if God was with me with those things in the past, why can't he be with me in my pursuit of this other goal? I mean, I keep it as simple and as basic as possible, just to help me recognize that, I've come a long way from the time that, I I couldn't even crawl. There was tummy time. Now I can sprint, but I haven't been always able to sprint. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I'm like, if God was with me then, it's kind of like looking for that lion, that bear that David found, and being able to seize it, and knowing that you had success seizing it, and using that energy, that momentum, that drive to tackle that next goal or that next situation.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it said just spoke for itself, but I I think it goes back to scripture that Jason brought up earlier, and that is, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are, just, all those things. Think on these things. If there be any, I think it if you can think it, you can believe it, do it, and I think that's what works for you. You may not have to write it down. So
Right.
it's all about creating those thoughts that in turn can um, help you pursue, the behaviors that you need for your goals.
I love that. I love
Yes.
that. And
I
and
love it.
I will tell you this, because we do have to go. It's 7. It's a little past. But I've enjoyed. Let me ask you, like, if you're on the comments right now, if you are listening in, why don't you leave a comment right now? Do you want to have Chelsea, Martina, like, do you want to have this group conversation again? Because I don't know about you, this is super helpful for me. It's inspiring me to act, to take action, to get a result today, to really believe. It's like you just said, affirming the scriptures. All things are possible through Christ, right? Like those things. But you just sparked a topic that I do want you to talk about. If you can be on the show again, maybe in the morning, you too, Martinez. And anybody, by the way, if you have a Clubhouse account, would love for you to be a part of these conversations. We're having a good time here on this app. It's kind of new. It's been out for a while, but it's starting to get some traction. And I get it because conversations in real time, man, that's just so cool. It is so cool. But here's a topic that I'm kind of curious. I'd love to get your all's thoughts on, because you said something, and that was this. It was talking about, Martinez, you were kind of hinting around it, like, hey, I'm thinking about the grace and mercy of God that got me to this place, and I think several different like terms or doctrines, or like, you can talk about the sovereignty of God, the goodness of God, the provision of God, like all of those things. But here's what I'd love to get y'all's conversation on tomorrow as it relates to belief, mindset, and faith, and that is this: gratitude. Gratitude. Because I have some thoughts on that I would love to get Chelsea's input on with her training, and I'd love to get Martinez's thoughts on this. So I'm excited. So guys, tomorrow 7 a.m. we're going to be live TikTok. I do appreciate y'all hopping on here. I know I've got to get that worked out so you guys can hear that, but you can click on my bio and get involved in this conversation. But yeah, tomorrow 7 a.m. If well, I'm putting y'all on the spot, but any reason anybody couldn't be here tomorrow for that conversation?
I'm all in. All in.
Okay. Chelsea is deciding right now. She's determining the schedule, because I know she's got a very busy schedule. Oh, it cut out. I didn't hear you, Chelsea.
Oh no, be fine.
Okay. We'll keep you posted, because I want to have that conversation, because I think I want to know a lot of the ideas. Like, I've got my assumptions about gratitude and how that works, but I want to get your expertise. But guys, hey, listen, I want you guys to do this. I say this at the end of every day, because this is literally my hope for you. My hope, my wish, my prayer is I want you to be great. I want you to be blessed, and I want you to be great. I want you to understand that you have been created with purpose. You have what it takes, and I want you to go prove that by being great, by doing your best. So have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow, 7 a.m. on the morning show.